It's a beautiful day to be in the garden today. I think the high is only 72, so I'm going to take advantage of that and do some harvesting. I've already harvested my kale once, and I got over 5 gallons of kale, and I've taken a little bit here and there for salads, but I'm going to do another big harvest of that today. I'm going to take everything from today and freeze dry it and then powder it for smoothies. I brought an 18-gallon tote out with me, so I'm being optimistic, but we'll see how much we get. To harvest the kale, I'm just going to take these outer leaves. You can see this new growth in the middle, so I'm going to leave that. And I might leave a couple of the larger middle leaves too, just to leave some energy for the plant. But I'm just going to pull up like this and harvest all of those. Maybe this last bottom one. So all that's left for that one plant is one big leaf and a couple small leaves in the center, and that'll keep growing and give me more kale in a little bit. I'm almost to the end of my row of kale, and I have my 18-gallon tote almost full already. And I got here and I see some insect activity, and I found my first Japanese beetle of the year. Dang things. So I guess I'm glad I came out when I did to harvest all this before they get to everything. Well, I stepped into the shade really quick, but I just wanted to show you that I got this entire tote full of kale. So I'm going to take this up to the house, and I'm just going to fill this tote with a garden hose, and I'm going to add some Trader Joe's fruit and vegetable wash to it just to get all the bugs off and sort of do like a pre-rinse. Then I'll just take it like one sinkful at a time into the kitchen so that I can rinse everything off and cut the stems and get it ready, but I'll show you what my setup is inside. I washed the kale outside in a tote, and then I brought it in here and I'm rinsing it off in the sink. And once I rinse it off, I'm just cutting these hard stems off like this. I just fold the kale in half and slice it down, peel any of the rest off, and then I'm just saving the stems to give to the chickens later. And I'm taking the leaves and putting them in a bowl so that I can blanch them. So I'll take you over to the stove and I'll show you the setup that I have for blanching. I have everything set up right now to blanch the kale. So I'm just going to put the kale in the boiling water for 1 to 2 minutes. And I want it to actually boil for at least a minute. So I'm going to try to put it in so that the water maintains the boil. And if I lose the boil, hopefully it will come back within a minute so that I can boil it for at least a minute. So I'm just going to take a handful and put it in, and I'm going to use my tongs to submerge it. And it's already turning like a really bright green color. And I'm just going to let that go for a couple minutes. This has been boiling for a couple minutes, so I'm just going to take it out and plunge it into an ice bath. My water is still boiling, so I'm just going to go ahead and put in the next batch. Now that this has cooled down for a little bit in the ice bath, I'm just going to take it out and set it in a strainer basket here. I'm going to let it strain for just a little bit, and then I'll put it on a freeze dryer tray and get it ready for the freeze dryer. There's a couple of reasons that I'm choosing to blanch all of this before I put it in the freeze dryer. One of the main things is that the leaves are so big and bulky before they're blanched that you really can't fit very many on a freeze dryer tray. So it would take me a lot of batches to freeze dry all of this if I didn't reduce it down a little bit. The other reason is because kale is pretty bitter, but blanching it takes some of that bitterness out. So I'm hoping that when I create the powdered kale from the freeze dryer that it won't be quite so bitter, so that when I add it to my smoothies, they'll still taste pretty good. Seeing quite a few flakes in there, so I'm just going to try to mix it a little bit with my spatula and then blend it a little more. Okay, so I'm going to put the rest of it into this second Mylar bag. This is the sealer that came with my Harvest Right freeze dryer. So I'm going to use this to seal the Mylar bags that I have. And the freeze dryer also came with some oxygen absorbers. So I just use a Mylar bag to store those. And I only get them out right when I'm ready to seal them so that they're not exposed to oxygen for any longer than they need to be. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the bag with the oxygen absorbers in it open. As close to the seal as I can. That way I can reseal it multiple times. And I have the little bags that the oxygen absorbers came in here also, and they're also sealed. And you can see that this little indicator is pink, which means that the oxygen absorbers are still good. So this bag is the one that I have pulled from before, and you can see that I've resealed it a couple times. So I'm just gonna pull 2 out of here, and then I'm gonna reseal it again right away, and then reseal this again right away. I just need 2. I'm gonna turn this to the number 5. It has these settings over here which just indicate how long it's going to heat for. So I turned it to 5 for this little bag here, and I'm just gonna set the opening that I cut and seal it. The light turns on and it turns right back off when it's done, and this bag is now sealed. Then, just out of extra caution, I put it into the Mylar bag. I'm going to turn this up to 7 for the Mylar bag because it's thicker. And as close to the top as I can, I am going to seal it. And again, I'm just doing it as close to the top as I can so that I can keep cutting it open and resealing it in the future. Just going to set that to the side. I'm going to put 1 oxygen absorber into each of the bags of freeze-dried kale powder that I have. I'm not setting any aside for use right now because I already have some from a batch that I did a few weeks ago. But then again, it's on 7, and these bags have a little tab for ripping them in the future so you don't have to cut them like I just did. So I want to seal above that. That way later I can just tear it open if I want to. Also, then I can reseal it if I need to, if I don't use it all at once. So I'm just gonna line it up. And do the other one. So that's all there is to it. And I did write on each of these that it's kale powder and that I blanched the kale because the last batch that I did, I didn't blanch it. So I just wanted to make sure that I could identify which one was blanched. That way I can note any taste differences so that going forward next year, I will know how to make adjustments if necessary. So right now you can see that there's still some air in the bag because it's a little bit fluffy, but over time it will shrink up as the oxygen gets absorbed by that oxygen absorber. Just to show you what it looks like, I do have a pouch right here of sugar snap peas that I sealed a couple days ago, and you can see that it's all of the air has come out of it and been absorbed into that oxygen absorber. So it almost looks like it's been vacuum sealed, and you can tell that the oxygen absorber was good. So this should be good to store for a long time. So I'm going to keep these out until I notice that for sure the oxygen absorber has done its job, and then I will put it away for long-term storage. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you in the next one.